Come here. Who's a happy dog? Who's a happy dog?
I was trying hard to get by, taking day by day. But baby, then you can't.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Westen. How are you doing today? Now first off, I gotta apologize because I've been sicker than a dog and it's a little windy out here and it's raining, so we're back to the old camera. So if you'll have to bear with me and try to listen as good as you can because I don't know how good you're gonna be able to hear me. That being said, today I had a free moment and I figured I would show you guys what y'all to look out for if you're trying to buy a Cummins diesel or any diesel truck for that matter. This is pretty universal. So I'm gonna show you guys the tricks and what I look for just on the engine, and let's dive right into it. We got two trucks sitting here. We've got old Clifford, the big red truck, which it's a 6.7 Cummins that's deleted. And then we've got a fully stock 6.7 Cummins sitting here as well. So I can kind of show you the differences between a deleted truck and a factory truck, and also what you need to look out on both. So, ain't nothing to it just to do it. Let's dive right in. I think we ought to start off with Clifford first because, you know, she's just beautiful. And if we don't start off with Clifford, then she's just gonna get upset at us, and then it's just gonna be a bad day. You can check is pop the hood and make sure it's all there, because if you watched my last video on the F350, you'll know that wasn't exactly the case on that one. And if most of your parts are sitting in the back seat, pretty good indication it's not gonna start. But take in mind, it is a great negotiating tactic if you get there. Hell of a way to get a person down on their price. Pop the hood and the engine's sitting in the back seat. Oh yeah, we'll take less money for it. Okay. So, that's how my buying it stuff goes. So guys, we're going to start off with the basics. And most of you probably know you need to check blow-by on a diesel engine. Now basically what blow-by is you want to take this oil cap off and just set it right on top of the valve cover, and that will tell you if you've got positive pressure in the crankcase. Now what that's going to tell you is if you've got bad piston rings, or if you got low compression, or if the engine has just seen better days. If the engine's wore out, that's one of the first places you'll get a notice, and you'll start seeing smoke come out of that breather with a little bit of pressure. Now it's also important to know that every truck has got just a little bit of blow-by, just the smallest amount. Some trucks more than others. Power Strokes, 6.7s and 6.4s, have a considerable amount from the factory compared to like a Cummins or a Duramax. You want to be able to take the cap off and just set it there, and if there's a little bit of steam coming out, that's not that big a deal. But if the cap's sitting there bouncing up and down like a basketball, that is a good indication to stay away. Trust me, I had an old man tell me one time, oh, it's only blowing all that smoke out of there because of all the awesome horsepower. I'm like, buddy, you don't know shit from apple butter. He's like, no, buddy, that's where all that power is. That's why it's smoking like that, is because all the awesome horsepower it's got. Telling you, buddy, that's just what everybody wants. He was Canadian, I think. I think he was trying to give me a polite urn. Anyway, guys, one of the most important things you need to look at when you're taking and going to look at a diesel truck is make sure that you get there when the truck is cold and see it start up dead cold. And the reason for that is diesels need heat to start. And diesels that are wore out will be a lot harder to get started on a cold day, or even when they're just not warmed up, than a truck that's just been shut off. So if you arrive somewhere to look at a truck and the truck's already been fired up, it's warmed up, it's sitting there idling, be leery, because that could be somebody trying to pull a fast one on you. Trust me, everybody that's selling a truck, their truck's worth gold. You know, it's so reliable. It came over on the Mayflower, and then you're like, well, it's got 300,000 miles. They're like, well, god dang it, don't you know how far ago the Mayflower was? So just be leery and try to see the truck cold, and try to take as much care of that as you can. You know, I'm not going to say that's 100% of the time. It might be their daily driver or whatever. So I'm not going to say that people are trying to deceive you, but you do have to consider that as a possibility, because you don't know these people you're buying a truck from. You're trying to look at a truck, and they're probably not going to be upcoming and upright with you exactly 100% everything about it. Some people are, and those people are awesome to buy things from, but a lot of people on the marketplace are not. So just be careful. While we're here, before we get around to starting the truck, now I gotta wipe the water off so I don't get my shirt wet. If you can see down there on the back of the block, Old Red does have a little bit of oil down there on the side of her cylinder head. Now that's not really no big a deal, it's just oil residue. These diesels are really common to have. They're just dirty engines. I mean, they leak oil, you know, maybe when I was pouring oil in or something, it just accumulated down there, whatever it is, valve cover gasket, whatever. But the biggest thing is see how it's all dirty? See how there's no clean streaks in the oil? What you don't want is, see how, what you don't want is you don't want it to be really dirty and then have like a clean streak like that running down the side of it, because that's where you know that fresh oil is running out and cleaning the side of the engine right where it's running. So if it's kind of a little bit greasy and stuff like this, take in mind this truck's got more than 250,000 miles on it, so it's not that big a deal. I mean, if you're going to look at a 50 or 60,000 mile truck, I would say this might be cause for concern, but for some with a couple miles on it, this is no big deal. Now, the other thing you want to do is, it's not a bad idea for you go back and stand by the exhaust when they start this truck. Have somebody else fire it up for you and watch the exhaust. Now the exhaust is right underneath this toolbox here, but if you fire the truck up and it blows blue smoke everywhere, then you know you might have a fueling issue, injectors, injection pump, maybe a turbo, some kind of oils get into it, something like that. If you fire it up and steam shoots out of it, it could just be from where it's really cold outside, but most of the time if it smells sweet, like it smells like really sweet, then you got to be careful. That could be antifreeze. Now, take in mind if you're going to look at a truck with an emission system on it, it's probably not going to send any smoke at all. But if you do get back there and it smells like antifreeze by the exhaust, you do want to pay mind that could be an EGR cooler failure or a head gasket failure. So that's something else you want to keep. All right, now we're around here to the front side of the truck. Now, as you can see, this truck was dead cold. It'd been sitting for 4 or 5 days when we started up, and you want to listen to it. Make sure it's not running rough, make sure it's not loping, you know, whum, whum, whum. You don't want nothing like that. You just want it to run nice and smooth, no shaking, no shimmying, no nothing like that. And now is, realistically, when you want to check your blow-by is after you take it for your test drive. So take it for a test drive, and after that, then check your blow-by, because an engine could have more blow-by when it's warmed up compared to when it's cold. So we'll get around here. Another thing I do for Cummins at least is get in here and kind of, you know, this truck's been running for just a little bit, about 5 minutes, but just kind of wrap it up a little bit, just slowly, and feel it. Sometimes when the injectors start to get weak, you'll reach a point that it'll get a small shake to the motor if it's got an issue with an injector. But see how the tachometer's going up just perfect? Now we're going up slow with it. No issues. See, it goes right up just like it's supposed to. No problem there. Now, the other thing I'm doing is I'm sitting here and I'm actually feeling the engine while I'm sitting in the seat, making sure it's not shaking. It's another good indication is look at your door. Open your door all the way up, and if your motor's shaking any, that's the first thing it's going to shake is your door. So it's kind of hard to tell, but you know, raise this all the way up. No shake whatsoever. That has injector issues, most of the time when they have a leaky injector, if you wrap them up to about 2,000 RPM, 2,100 RPM, and they come back down, you want to make sure they just come down even, that it just comes down just like that. You don't want it to come down like this, because if so, what it'll do when it kind of stutters on the way down, that means the injector's dumping a little bit more fuel than it's supposed to, and it's not coming down real even like that. So that's a kind of a good way to check your injectors. All right, here we're back underneath the hood, and this is after you've taken your truck for a short test drive or whatever. You want to get out here and feel this top radiator hose. Now be careful, it might be hot, it might not hurt to grab a rag or something and throw over it, but just make sure it's not hard. Make sure you don't have no problem compressing it, and it's got water in it. You want to feel water, but you want to just make sure that you have no problem with squeezing it together. And the reason for that is if it was hard, that could indicate that you got a problem with the head gasket, or if the truck's got emissions on it, like this truck used to have, it could be an issue with a EGR cooler. Come around here, I'll show you something else. Another thing you want to check. Dodges are really convenient, especially these years. They've got a cap on top of the radiator, which is kind of a, not really seeing them much on diesel trucks anymore, but take that cap off and you want to listen really closely and make sure you don't hear no pressure. Now it's a 2-stage cap. It comes off a little bit, and then you push down really hard on it and twist it the rest of the way off. God dang it. And now, as you can see, it's got green coolant in there. That's where I put a new radiator, and that's just the kind of coolant I put back in it. That's not necessarily bad, but it is full right up to the bottom of the neck of the radiator, so you have no issue there. It's the same thing you're checking when you take and squeeze that top radiator hose. If you got a small head gasket leak and you can hear the pressure escaping when you open this cap, or even on the overflow bottle, then you know you could have either a head gasket issue or a problem with your EGR cooler, which is an EGR cooler failure is common. Head gasket, not so much on this truck, but it can happen. The other thing that doesn't hurt is once you got it off, if the truck's sitting there idling, take this cap off, look down there in your antifreeze or your coolant or whatever it is, and then see if you can see any bubbles popping up out of the coolant. If you can, then that's also a sign that you could have exhaust gases getting into your cooling system, and that would be pressurizing your cooling system, meaning you have either a head gasket or, like I said, an EGR failure. And turn your exhaust brake on. You're going to want to make sure you use that, because that'll tell you the condition of your turbo. Now, you won't know fully unless you pull the air box off and actually look inside, but it will tell you at least if the actuator on the turbo is working. If your exhaust brake is working like it should, then you know everything's okay. If not, that could tell you that the turbo's getting ready to go out, or the actuator's already had seen better days. Run it back and forth a couple times, make sure, because exhaust brake has not been used in a while, it's very common for them to get stuck in one position, get stuck in all the way closed position or all the way open, where carbon is built up and the vanes just cannot move right inside the turbo. So guys, the other thing I wanted to show you is I had this other truck pulled up here, and this truck is, well, I'll just show you. So this truck here is exactly the same as old Clifford over there. Well, besides for it being newer, nicer, lesser miles, and not leaking as much oil, it's exactly the same. This truck is completely stock. It's got the EGR on it. It's got the cooler, the DPF, and everything on the exhaust. There's nothing been done to this truck. It's completely factory. Basically, this is the EGR system. This is half of the emission system on this truck. It's a big EGR cooler that runs all the way down through here. They blow exhaust through it, and then they run coolant through it to cool the exhaust down, then they pump it back over here into the intake. It adds a lot of heat into the engine. It adds a lot of heat into the intake, pumps soot back into the intake. It's just not good for the engine. On low mile trucks, this is the issue you're gonna find, is the emission system being messed up, either EGR or the big DPF soot cooker on the exhaust. You'll see this even under 100,000 miles. Like this truck here's got 80,000 miles on it. And some of you might be asking, well, that's no big deal. It's got a 5-year, 100,000 mile warranty. So if something breaks, you know, I'll just go in and take it, have it fixed. And that's right, except for the emission system. If the engine was to go bad, transmission, it would be covered under the 100,000 mile warranty, but the emission system's only covered under a 5-year, 50,000 mile warranty. So that's something you got to take in mind too. If this truck's got 51,000 miles on it and something goes wrong with this emission system, you're paying for that out of your own pocket. And if you decide to delete it, then you lose the rest of your 50,000 miles of powertrain warranty that you got. So it's really just a particular situation. I wish there was some kind of trick I could tell you that if you could do to figure out if it's a good or not, if the emission system's ready to go bad or whatever it may be, but there's no tricks. There's nothing really to it. If basically all it is, if it throws a check engine code for the emission system, it'll derate you down to 5 miles an hour, and that's it. I mean, this is your indicator. It's, you know, the trucks are like, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. Nope, it's broke. That's how it works. Well, guys, we covered a lot of ground today. I thought I'd just make this video and give you guys a little bit of information that I didn't have when I started doing this, and it would have been handy to have, and I had to learn the hard way. So I might have missed a couple things. I might not have got everything you guys wanted to see, but I think I hit a lot of the basics that you need to check out on a Cummins motor. We looked at both these trucks. You kind of see the differences in them. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, comment down below what you think, and also the CUMMINS build is coming. I got to get to feeling better, and I'm also waiting on some parts to get here. But as soon as that gets around, we are going to start making a CUMMINS happen. CUMMINS is coming! Like it's like winter is coming. I sure hope I'm not the only Game of Thrones fan here. Anyway, that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.